Welcome to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. My goodness, I'm just so energized. I mean, the weather is looking spectacular. We've got summer weather upon us already. And another big reason I'm excited, and all of us here at Rogers TV are excited, is it's Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend. And we have full coverage. Just want to remind everybody off the top, Saturday evening, we're going to be doing the 10K. And then Sunday morning, bright and early, we'll be doing the full marathon and the half marathon. And then the celebration show after all of that, because a lot of people raising funds for some great causes here in our community. Speaking of some great community members, my next guest is a great community member and going to be talking about great seniors event that's coming up, but also does some really unique, spectacular work for seniors and even young, because I think people are preparing ahead of time much more than they have in previous years. I'm joined by Kyla Cullain. She is a clinical nurse specialist and co-founder of BuildABLE. Kyla, welcome.
Hi,
great to have you here.
Thanks. Great to be here.
And as I said, first of all, before we get into a little bit about what you do and who you cater to, let's talk about BuildABLE and the inspiration behind it. What inspired you and your co-founder?
So my co-founder is my husband,
yes.
Sean, and he's an elevator mechanic by trade, and I'm a nurse. And it's, the mechanic and a nurse walked into a bar. What's the punchline? Well, we came up with this business is what happened.
Right.
So we are the only nurse-led construction company that specializes in accessibility. So BuildABLE, we modify homes, residential spaces, commercial spaces, and we make them more accessible for people living with disabilities or for those who want to age in place safely, but who also don't want their home to look like a hospital setting.
Yeah, that's the key here, right? Because you and I were talking before the show, and I remember, you'd walk in, I had aunts and uncles and so forth, and they had to change things up at their home, but it did look like that kind of sterile hospital environment. How have you modernized that?
So I'm very grateful to a lot of the manufacturers now. People like Healthcraft, which is an awesome organization in Ottawa, they actually design different grab bars and supports right here in Ottawa, which is fantastic to support local. They've created designer grab bars, even just I'm thinking of something small. Designer grab bars that are actually shower shelves, or where you would hang your towel bar. They also double as grab bars that can support 500 pounds. Another example would be, you've all seen these in hospitals. They're like these bulky seat risers that you sit in for the extra support. They get really gross underneath. I was an old infection control nurse, so that triggers some stuff right there. But now we have lifts on the bottom of toilets that just raise it up just a little bit more, as well as right height toilets, and make our bums sitting on something comfortable and familiar, and it doesn't have that clinical look.
I think you sent Stan, our producer, some photos too, right, of some of that work, and people can see as we chat some more just about what that looks like. But you don't just work indoors; you also do some outdoor work as well, right?
Yeah, we do. So ramps, getting in and out of our house is one of the first places we want to start. If you can't get in your house or out of your house safely, that's where we want to start, there, and then the bathroom. So we do different types of ramps, custom wooden ramps. There's some rollout ramps that are portable, which are great for businesses, and also some large. We've done big integrated covered porches with inset therapeutic hot tubs. There's so many options to have accessibility outdoors as well, and especially as the nice weather is coming, we want to be outside. And if you have mobility aids or supports, you shouldn't be limited to that just because
we're just looking at a bathroom here, by the way. Look at this before and after. I mean, that's night and day right there,
Yeah,
Kyla.
so a little outdated, hard to get into the tub, hard to get on and off the toilet, and it doesn't have to look clinical. So there are some grab bars in here for extra supports, but there's anti-slip flooring, a bamboo flip-down bench. It can really look spectacular.
Yeah, here's another one here as well. Again, that bench, and look at the bars. I mean, as you said, it looks like a towel rack, right?
Yeah, and that's actually a grab bar.
Yeah.
And we have lots of families with mixed abilities, so having a soaker tub is often really nice for families that can still get in and out, but the grab bars are there as well, which also make it nice, like as a mom with a kid in a bathtub, having a little extra support to get up and down it works for everybody.
As I mentioned, you're here for an event as well. You've got the Seniors Wellness Fair coming up. Tell me about this and what's involved in it.
Yeah, so I am standing in today actually for Catherine Bennett, and if anyone has been involved in seniors events, she's with Affinity Healthcare. You know Catherine's name. She's a rock star, so I'm hoping to do this justice. But the Gloucester 50 Plus Center is hosting a Seniors Wellness Fair on June 1st, and it is sponsored by Affinity, so that is Catherine's company, and they do amazing work in terms of home care. So PSWs, RNs, RPNs, we can make your home look as beautiful and and as accessible as possible, but it's nice when you have someone who can come in and provide that extra support for you there. So she'll be there, then you can chat with her. There's also 17 other exhibitors that are all senior friendly, awesome organizations, businesses, not-for-profits like CARP, the Dementia Society, Supper Works. So if you want pre-made delicious meals, so good. There's a foot care company. So lots of resources that you can come in and speak with us about.
Yeah, and resources like yourselves that keep people in place, right? And I think that's what we're seeing more and more. And I don't think people have an understanding yet that, when we think about aging and when we start, needing, further care, we automatically think we have to leave our home. That's not the case anymore. And I think that's what this wellness fair is, properly, explains to people, right?
I think most people, and I love this, that we have these awesome community centers dedicated for seniors and 50 plus in our communities, because we are seeing that, especially after the pandemic, a lot of people did want to stay home. Personally, we got a lot of calls of people wanting to move their family back home with them. So having those, and there's awesome retirement homes and facilities as well, we can provide supports in all these, as well as some of the home care companies and Supper Works and such. But yeah, there is a big trend towards wanting to stay home as long and safely and independently as possible.
Are you seeing people, I mentioned off the top, preparing even beforehand, even before that retirement, or they start, getting into, I don't know, their late 70s and thinking, okay, now we have to make a change? Are people even preparing beforehand? And maybe even because there might be a multi-generational situation happening too, right?
Yeah, and that's the dream, to be proactive. We have a few clients, like one of the images we showed before, that was a proactive move to get everything in place. She was a nurse, so I mean, near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
But that's the dream. If you can come out and meet some of these exhibitors and make some plans ahead of time, it makes such a huge difference. Falls for seniors in Canada, it's one of the #1 hospitalization rate. And then 50% of those falls often end up leading to a long-term care admission in Canada. And those stats are from PIAC, so it's a little bit scary, but falls are preventable. So when we do little things like this to keep ourselves healthy and independent, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking for myself, I'm in my mid-50s, as I get closer to, if I wanted to suddenly do a major renovation on my bathroom, well, why would I do that, at 60 years old and then realize, at 72, I have some mobility issues, and now I've got to do another home renovation.
Yeah.
Why not do it sooner rather than later?
100%.
Right?
And universal design, when you make something accessible, it works for everyone.
Right.
And there's lots of younger people living with disabilities too. So people are usually worried about resale, but it makes a big difference today when people are looking for new homes as well.
Well, and especially with some of the photos you were that you showcased today, it's a modern look, it's a modern home. You're not going to think to yourself, oh well, the resale value. Always appreciate you joining us here on the show, Kyla. Thank you so much for joining us. Remind everybody at home that Seniors Wellness Fair is at the Gloucester 50 Plus Center. Okay, that's on June 1st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The key here is you have to pre-register. Registration at 613-749-1974 or at SOUTWAY at storm.ca, and I'll remind you at the end of the show.